सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मुदेव शुभकार्यतु सर्वथा. Good afternoon. I have the great privilege of introducing my guru, one of my mentors, one of my teachers, one of my professors. So before introducing him, I just want to introduce myself as Dr. Bhuvaneshwaran. I'm a cardiologist, currently with PSG Group of Hospitals. Dr. GL Sir is introducing Dr. GL Sir to Coimbatore audience is something like introducing Modi to India. Interestingly, he is again like there are a lot of similarities I see when I hear about his short biography. Sir has done his undergraduation in Stanley Medical College, from where I also did my undergraduation. Sir has done his post-graduation in Madras Medical College, had gone abroad and focused on internal medicine, cardiology, geriatrics, and after coming back to Coimbatore, he has been offering his services for the last 58 years as a general physician, as a cardiologist, as a geriatrician, and as a man who can cure diseases with his sense of humor. In fact, the moment you say about Dr. GL, people immediately think of something as, oh, number Siripu doctor. A doctor with such a sense of humor who has done a lot of stand-up comedies, is a voracious reader and writer. He has released several books, especially his books on humor and medicine, humor and specialties. I still remember Sir's ICU, the ICU gown from front and back. So there is no dearth of information. If you just Google Sir's name, you get all that what he has achieved in his life. And what was more impressed, I remember about a few years back, I was asking about Sir was shuttling between US and India, and I was asking one day, I wanted to talk to him. Somebody said that he is very busy in his Carnatic music class. So he was learning Carnatic music in his 70s. He was learning his Carnatic music, which is absolutely possible only when a human being assumes the role of a disciple through and through life. Sir is somebody who inspires people like me tremendously, and it's an absolute delight. Thank you, Vijay. And so Sir is son-in-law of the soil, and so we welcome you all to listen to Sir's. I'm sure that his talk on dharma in medicine is going to be a real audible delight for all of us. Like you, I also would like to listen to Sir. Sir, thank you very much for this honor of introducing you with something which I never thought. I actually came as an audience, but I was asked by Vijay and Shankar to do it. Thank you very much. God bless all. Over.
Is this better than this? This is better. Thank you. This is fine, actually.
You feel natural.
This actually, Dr. Krishnan and all the gentlemen who have assembled, ladies and gentlemen who have assembled here, thank you very much for the introduction, wonderful introduction. I learned something I didn't know myself. A very good afternoon to all of you, and sweet dreams to those who have had their meal late and are on the verge of sleeping. Please sleep, no harm at all, but don't disturb your neighbor who may also be sleeping. Now, my sincere thanks to the organizers for inviting me to give a talk on this intriguing subject this afternoon. I was in Chennai when the invitation came. 𝐒𝐤𝐬𝐢𝐨𝐧-𝟐, the Dharmadhikari, he spoke to me and said I must speak on Dharma in professional life. I thought it's a bit of a tall order because as far as I know, I have followed only one profession. And I agreed with him. I told him I limit my talk to Dharma in medical profession. As I have no experience in the others, I neither tried nor contemplated during any other profession outside my practice. As you know, doctors here will agree with me also. Medicine, the profession of medicine has a very jealous mistress. She does not allow you to entertain any other profession. That is why you find, besides people like Bhuvaneshwar, you seldom meet doctors in places like, with extracurricular interests they don't have. Interest in music, painting, sports, travel, photography, sightseeing, drama, all these don't generally interest doctors. Even if they do interest, you find after they become doctors and practice, all that dies down naturally. And you seldom see them in music sabhas, test matches, museums, cruises, religious discourses, Patti Mandram, Bharat Darshan trains. You don't see any doctor when you go there. They are wondering. You wonder. Pardon? You're not getting. Here we are. Of course, people who sort of indulge in extracurricular activities, doctors, you see them drive around in Maruti, Suzuki and Renault Quids, and not BMW and Mercedes-Benz. I practiced as a specialist in internal medicine for nearly 60 long years with geriatrics, that is medical management of the elderly, as my specialty. Geriatric specialty gave me a dharmic touch to my practice. I hung up my stethoscope 2 years ago. I must have really practiced what I always preach to my senior citizen. Practicing what you preach is supposed to be a dharma in practice, in medical practice. And so I said that I used to teach them how to live to a long and very old age. And I seem to have done, as I told you, practiced what I preach because I am older than Dalai Lama by 1 year. Yes. And so it's very, very interesting. And I find, but even though I am 89, I find I still have most of my original parts, And some of these parts do need replacement, but they are not easily available for old people. They think, suppose they give me a new kidney and I am dead in September. the waste of a kidney. So they think, paklam, and he dies naturally. So that doesn't matter. Now moving with older people right from my young age, because I was geriatrician, I found that I had more and more old people all the time. There are days when I had in the whole house outpatient only about people with about 40 teeth, the whole group included. And I found that just because one is older, one is not less valuable, one is not less interesting, less lovable, and less enterprising. All these they combine as they grow old, but younger people have no time for them. You see, and so they talk to each other, fight some more, and that's all happens. And so I remember the very last patient I saw before I hung up the stethoscope, went home and hung up the stethoscope. It's a very interesting couple. She was about 83 and he was 88. They have been married for 60 years, and believe it or not, they resembled each other. I don't know whether you understand. When you are married for a long time, you begin to resemble your spouse. Same mannerism, same talking, movement of head, and all that. So it's like a man doing mimicry. Suppose somebody wants to imitate Kamala Hassan. He can't become Kamala Hassan, so he will only imitate his mannerisms. And so watching this woman for 50, 80 years, you find slowly he absorbs a lot of these things. And so they come to look like each other quite often. And the other thing is that women, I find mostly, even after the children have left home, the mother's maternal instinct still lingers. She cannot get rid of the maternal instinct, and all the children are not there. And so now she concentrates on the husband. So day by day, she tries to improve him. You see? I'm sure every married man here knows that. Your wife is constantly trying to improve you, and so far no wife is satisfied. And they think, he's the fellow, he cannot be improved. But she doesn't give up trying, she keeps trying. All this kind of thing. And so in this case, she was the dominant partner. And this fellow appeared more than willing to be dominated. And so she said she's got chest pain. I said, எங்க இருக்கு வலி? இங்கே நடுவில் தான் இருக்குது. அடிக்கடி வருதா? வருது. தினம் 2-3 தடவை வருது. வந்தால் எவ்வளோ நேரம் இருக்கும்? ஏன்னா வந்தால் எவ்வளோ நேரம் இருக்கும்? யாருக்கு வலிமா? அவருக்கு தான் வலி. அவருக்கு வலின்னா நீ ஏன் பேசுறீங்க? நான் உங்களுக்கு ப்ரிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் கொடுத்துருப்பேன் இப்படி போயிருந்தா. இல்லை அதுக்கு இல்லை, ஒரு விஷயம் இருக்குது, அதனால தான் அவர் பேசலை. அவரை பேச சொல்லுங்க. Then she suddenly turned her back to me, physically. And then she was doing something to the husband. I don't know what she did. Bent down, lifted him, pushed his head and all that. All kinds of torture. And then that fellow was ready. இப்போ அவரோட பேசுங்கோ. என்னாச்சு புரியல எனக்கு. இல்லை, எனக்கு 2 பேருக்கு சேர்த்து ஒரு பல் செட்டு தான் இருக்குது. அவர் பல் செட்டு ரொம்ப லூஸாக இருக்குது. அவர் அதை வச்சுட்டு பேச முடியலை. அதனால தான் நான் சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தேன். இப்போ பேசுங்க. So interesting, isn't it? So you find this woman I remember still after all this time. Anyway, talking to these old people right from a young age has given me a lot of confidence to get here and talk to Sharada Amba's disciples, Shankaracharya's disciples on Dharma. I don't know, it's a very difficult subject. Unfortunately, there was some printing error. And so the printing invitation that I got yesterday, it said actually divinity in medical profession. I thought I cannot speak anything at all. There is no divinity ever. All my 70 years of practice, I'm yet to meet somebody who is divine and a doctor. Right? I come close to it more than some of them. And so anyway, now I know what I have to speak about, and I'm glad to be able to talk. The word dharma, has several interpretations. And my choice, the best interpretation goes to this: a combination of morality and spiritual discipline that guides one living in one's life. A combination of It doesn't taste so bad, It's slight கொஞ்சம் புளிப்பா இருக்கு பரவாயில்ல. So இப்போ சரியா இருக்கா? The mic has been my curse all my life. I don't know why. Why I was once having a symposium on irritable bowel syndrome. And so I had gone there, and so I had a mic, and the lady who was going to speak next was about constipation and irritable bowel syndrome. And she says, irritable bowel syndrome, you find quite often the patient is constipated, he cannot move his bowels at all. And then over the loudspeaker, I don't know what it was. What was it going on? And it continues, you see. And I told the mic man, enna paarudhu? Theriyala sir. It seems the previous speaker who spoke about diarrhea she had taken the hand mic to the toilet. And so we had to wait till she finished, you see, so that we could presume. Otherwise, I don't want to be interrupted by gaseous noises. And so this mic has always been my trouble. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now, one may ask, what is the benefit of following dharmic tenets? That is to say, you say that it's morality and discipline, and you must, if you live it, it gives you the right guidelines for right living, and so on. So what is the benefit? The answer is very straightforward, simple. What do you gain by being dharmic? If you follow its guidelines, in your life and profession, you will avoid suffering, firstly. Secondly, you will find balance, happiness, and purpose in life. So you avoid suffering by being dharmic, and you enjoy balance, happiness, and purpose in life. If you think about it, all of us want only these three. We want only balance, we want happiness, and we want to have a purpose in life. By balance, what I mean is happiness, a sense of contentment and a curtailment of greed. So once you say, Podumandra maname ponchayum marundu, you find you are solved. Suppose you want to have all this permanently, then you must go into meditation and probably get a super soul, That's what they say. If you want all these things permanently, then you must be a realized soul, which is unlikely in most of the people here and myself. Now, beautiful Sanskrit sloka reads, Dharma prabhavati artha, dharmat prabhavate sukham, dharmena labate sarvam, dharmasaram idam jagat. That means from dharma comes wealth, from dharma comes happiness. Dharma gets everything of this world, and dharma is the essence. Some of the great masters, when you know he is a master, when you ask him a very difficult question, he makes a very simple answer. For example, Gautama Buddha was asked, Sir, what have you gained from meditation? What is it that you have gained by meditating? Buddha said, nothing. The questioner was amazed. We are talking about Gautama Buddha. He says he didn't gain anything by meditation. Then he smiled and said, however, he said, let me tell you what I lost. Anger, anxiety, depression, insecurity, fear of old age, and fear of death. Which I thought so succinctly, so beautifully put. Only the people like Gautama Buddha can put it down. And so, if you follow dharma, obviously, you get peace of mind, you get health and everything. In this context, I will tell you an anecdote about Rockefeller and Swami Vivekananda. Rockefeller, as you know, one of the great business tycoons of America. Now they believe that if you calculate Rockefeller's wealth at the time he was ruling, it is more than any wealthy man since has lived in America. All these fellows, Hulk, Bilk and all these fellows, nowhere. I believe he had so many. He was almost, in today's wealth, it will amount to trillions. And so this Rockefeller was not feeling happy because he had indulged in all kinds of activities in his business, and he was actually losing appetite. He can't sleep at night. He was depressed. He sometimes shed tears, and he became what somebody called a walking mummy. Not mummy in the sense Amma, walking Egyptian mummy. He was like that, poor fellow. And so somebody told him, why don't you go and meet Swami Vivekananda, who is in America? Who is that? He is a famous Indian saint and he is magical. And you please go and meet him, he will solve your problem. He said, no, I have no time for fake saints from the East and so on. But then this was getting worse. He could not sleep at all. He was irritable and he thought he may die because he lost a lot of weight. And so he called his friend in whose house Swami Vivekananda was staying and said, all right, put me in touch with that Swamiji because you have been telling me. He said, come over. Come this afternoon. I will ask him to see you. And so he went in the afternoon and he went in and there was Vivekananda in his room writing something. And so he sat outside because a rocky fella, he's not not accustomed to waiting. And so he walked in. And Vivekananda continued to write. He was not bothered. And so he continued to write. And one thing was that Vivekananda started talking about people's past, their merits, their faults and all that, just by looking at them. And he mentioned this in his autobiography, that he could look at people and get this effortlessly, he could get these miracles. And he wanted to get rid of it. Because then you start concentrating on it and then you may charge $20 a miracle and so on. And so he just wanted to avoid that. He said, no, I don't want to. And so he avoided it purposely. And he managed to. But then he found, just look at you and he'll say, you are so and so and so on, things like that. And so after some time he looked up, yes, Mr. Rockefeller, what can I do for you? And he said, I have no peace of mind. I got very depressed, I am a very wealthy man, but I don't seem to enjoy life at all. I sometimes think of death, so on. I think that is because you are not following honest practices. He said, no, don't tell me. Then he rattled off some of his recent mistakes. He said, you did this, you did that, you did this only last month. Then he had to keep quiet because they were all absolutely true and only Vivekananda knew and this Rockefeller. So he told him that you are destined for higher things. You are not getting happy because of the fact that you are trying to sort of produce happiness for a single individual, whereas you should try to get happiness for a large number of people, which you don't know at all about this. So if you start doing charity work, helping people, you will find automatically it will come. So anything else? This Rockefeller was very upset. Here is some sannyasi sitting here telling me what to do and so on. He stalked out. But 10 days later, he came back. He did what Vivekananda has advised because he knew some of the doings of Vivekananda. So this Rockefeller, and he came and told him, I believe he brought a big bunch of paper, threw it on his, come on, I already given charity $2 million. I hope it makes this happy. He said, it does not make me happy. It makes you happy. That's what you will find. And do you know what happened subsequently? Vivekananda, this man, became one of the greatest philanthropists in the world. He started the Chicago University, a university of so much fame. I believe in Chicago University car park, they have some vacant sites for Nobel laureates only. So that's what it is. And so that's a great university. He started the Rockefeller University. He started Rockefeller Foundation. This year, Rockefeller Foundation, since the time Rockefeller started this, it has given $32 trillion in charity. Can you imagine? And so that's what it is. And so you find how dharma, because you started doing dharma, he found that he became much better, and Rockefeller died at the age of 97. And if we met Vivekananda, he was 43. Yes, finished now, you find in medicine, the Hippocratic oath for physicians was written specifically to promote ethics in medical practice. Dharma is fundamental and universal. Ethics and its laws are subsets of dharma. Ethics is natural law and there is no subject that it does not need to be sort of amended. Whereas laws are created by human beings subject to continuous amendment. The oath was prepared to prevent self-interested doctors from harming individual patients in ancient times. Just to avoid doctors doing harm to the patient. And so I shall abstain from all intentional wrong doing and would not bring harm and injustice to my patient. This is one of the cores of Hippocrates' oath. It was written 3,500 years ago. Lots of the contents of the Hippocratic oath do not apply to our modern medicine or modern people and modern culture. And so a lot of it is not relevant today. But some parts were based on solid dharmic principles and relevant for all time. To better serve the present day needs and current ethics of physicians, a more inclusive pledge was written and adopted in October 2017 in many United States and European medical universities. And I will crave your indulgence and slowly read out the acceptable, understandable, modern Hippocratic oath. I swear to fulfill to the best of my ability and judgment this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of over-treatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember there is an art to medicine, and the art of medicine as well as science are both important. Warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say, I don't know, nor will I fail to call a colleague. When my skills are limited, the others have better skill, I will call him in to help the patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems will not disclose to me that the world may know. That means I will not tell anybody that he confides in me. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. If it is given to me to save a life, all thanks. But it may also be given within my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humility and awareness of my own frailty. Above all, I must not play God. I cannot play God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart or a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family with economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems. If I am to care adequately for the sick, I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I remember that I remain a member of the society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy my life and art, be respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. So this is as applicable your original Hippocratic oath. And so if dharma is fundamental and universal, ethics and laws are, as I said, they are subsets. Ethics is evolved naturally, law is passed by governance. Ethics is natural law, and there is no need for amendments. But law is commonly human created, therefore very often be changed. Now, how did this taking the oath business come into place? Why is it that doctors were asked to take a oath? Society realized that having a code of ethics was most important for the medical profession, because for every human being, health is vital for ensuring happiness in living. Sickness makes any meaningful activity very difficult. And dying is a permanent happening without any future. And the man, woman who represents himself as a doctor will prevent disease with his special knowledge, can prevent disease, ensure one's health, reduce pain, restore activity, postpone death until all medical bills are fully paid. That's what they generally want to do. But to overcome this debility or disability, doctors have found a way. Now you have to pay in advance. Only if you pay in advance, then they'll take care of you. And suppose your advance is more than what actually it costs. Suppose the man kicks the bucket earlier. You can always say, I did 2 more MRIs and make it up. There is never any problem. And then the man, woman who so this is what? He has got that special knowledge. The man or the woman who presents himself, herself as doctor, prevent disease with his special knowledge, can prevent disease, ensure one's health, reduce pain, restore activity, or at least postpone death until all medical bills are paid. And then, over the 150 years, as medical therapy improved tremendously, society got a little nervous. Armed with improved knowledge, the doctor was beginning to act like an agent of God. And like the priest was doing earlier, the doctor could also, with drugs and psychological application approach, could influence the sick man's thinking. So the society wanted to ensure that the medical man would not use his knowledge contrary to laws of humanity. So he must use his knowledge according to the laws of humanity. Because many doctors forget that every time they get one raw PUC graduate, or whatever you call him, into MBBS, the government of India spends 1.7 crores. 1.7 crores it costs to make a full MBBS doctor of a raw young student. And so when I graduated way back in 1957, we found that it was costing ₹1,00,000 a year. That's all, 5 lakhs for whole course. Today it's 1.7 crores. And this is for the man who finishes it in 5 years. If he takes 10 years, maybe it's 1.9 crores, because he has to finish it anyway. And so, I had a classmate who took 10 years to finish his MBBS. He had to take Hippocratic oath twice. So the oath is a vital covenant, a promise, an agreement or contract between the young budding doctor and the society at large, that certain activities will or will not be carried out. It's an understanding. It is actually legally enforceable, but not always. And so you find it's just an understanding. Any transgression will be illegal, for which you may be hauled up, but is illegal in the dharmic sense always. So you have done something which is illegal. Now, so this man, the doctor, should serve only for the benefit of the sick, and not to allow thirst for practice or ambition for fame to interfere with the practice of his profession. The main purpose of practice is to render service to humanity, and reward or financial gain is a subordinate consideration. So the main reason the government has spent so much money, gave you a seat, trained you, is to make sure that you serve humanity. And you are sure as a doctor that you will never starve. You will never be dying of wanting of necessities in life. You can always be comfortable. But the minute you think that this is a business, you are just going to be a danger. Across the world, doctors are getting admired for magical achievements, saving lives that would have been given up 20 years ago, for their superhuman surgical skills, extending lives of advanced cancer cases, making pregnancy possible with extrauterine inventions, amazing advances in surgery like laparoscopic surgery, life-saving catheter interventions, taking over organ functions, and so on. The list is endless. And so we doctors can feel proud oh, this is so much we have done. Because as you know, the modern man, since the past 20, 30 years, the modern human being across the world, except in the very backward nations, has each been given 25 to 30 years of extra life. All of us have been blessed. So that is why you find in the olden days, you used to find only occasional party tata in marriages, with blessing distribution, distributing blessings and all that. Today you find most people are tata party. So there are so many of them, very old people are always there. And that's because the longevity blessing of 30 years to the average human being across the world. And so we feel proud that we have contributed to this. Doctors cannot say that because we practice medicine, people have living to a longer time. Not at all. It is only a part of their contribution. And so it's advances in science, advances in agriculture, advances in food distribution, and so on. So there are so many of them. It's made life possible. Even working in a factory or something, now it's nice job. You are taken care of. Work engineering is all helping with time, motion studies, and so on. So, as you feel very happy about this, we must be very beware of the criticisms that you are facing. I am sure Bhuvana knows this, that across the world, I live in America for some years, and in Europe, England I trained, and so in India I have lived all my life. You notice that there is a tremendous dissatisfaction with the performance of doctors. Tremendous. There is a feeling that many medical people have converted medical profession into a business. The whole business in a hospital is some industrial complex. And so there is a lot of understanding between the doctor and especially the doctor and the pharmacist, the doctor and the medical representative, and so on and so forth. And so the ethics that we are talking about, the ethics that doctors are supposed to know, and very taught. As a matter of fact, I don't think anybody ever took a class on Hippocratic oath or something on the ethics of medicine as a student. Did anybody talk to you, Bona? Ethics of medicine you had listened to. Oh, yes. That's right. So some of these things are not done. For example, the art of medicine. The art of medicine is almost half of treatment, because the art of medicine is just listening to the patient, somehow convey the impression to the patient that I have got involved with you. I have asked you details of this and that, and I asked you whether your mother-in-law is good, things like that. You slowly get to know the entire background, and so this doctor is involved with you. So I ask him about suppose there's a pain or something, when does it come and how do you eat, what do you like? I tell them, I like vatakorumbu, do you like vatakorumbu, and so on. This is not just to flatter him, but just to let him know that I am involved and listening to what the man is saying. And so this is the art of medicine, which is totally neglected. We had 2 classes on art of medicine. So in the textbook I wrote about outpatient management, I have left 35 pages to the art of medicine. And so this is so important. And so why is this deterioration? That these are the criticisms that we all listen to. Mounting bills after hospitalization, subjecting patients to unnecessary tests, MRIs for dandruff and so on, undertaking unnecessary surgeries, unnecessary specialist invitations on admitted patients, making fortunes during epidemics, banking on patients' anxieties, and so on and so on. And I am sure you know and I know this happens. And this is something we close our eyes to, which is very sad. And once I went to a national conference on orthopedics to a big city in South India. And then I spoke about this. I said, there is a lot of criticism about doctors in various fields, and I think we have to look inside and find out what is going on. What is wrong with this? And so you will be surprised. I almost was assaulted by the delegates. They said, you will talk, and you will come and talk, and all that kind of thing. I said, look here, don't you listen to this kind of complaints from your atta, mama, chitapa, and all these people who go to your hospital and come back? Don't you listen? That I have met people who have told me that they have mortgaged their house because the son has got heart attack and he is going to undergo bypass surgery in hospitals. And so what am I doing closing my eyes to this? Am I cheating myself? And so it's a fact of life that this is what is happening. And doctors don't face it because probably feeling of guilt. I mean, I'm sorry to say this. Maybe, I do not know. And so this is something, so I have thought about this. I have thought about this a lot because I go to condole somebody somebody has died, I go to condole him. I don't generally attend my own patients' funerals. It's a bad policy. Suppose you go there, and you go there because he's an old friend, you have treated him for 5 years, he has died. And all the fellows in the funeral say, "Avardan doctor, Avardan." So, it's very embarrassing. But if somebody else's patient dies, I always go. They say, "Enna pannaru avare?" And so, I've been thinking about this. Probably some of you, any doctors here, can sort of add to what I have to say. Why has this happened? Across the world, you must know that it has nothing to do with Indian doctors. The American doctors, you go to America, you find all the patients have complaints. I mean, they say that you got some problem and you want to see a doctor, they will say, "Come on Wednesday, August or something." This is terrible. And I got itching piles now. I want to know what is to be done. They say, "Come next Wednesday." And you can't do a thing to shift them. Suppose you are an emergency, and suppose say the doctor has operated on me, some minor operation in the morning. By evening I got a lot of pain. In America, you can't go to the surgeon who operated. He is gone. That's all. You rush to some emergency. Once I went to an emergency because I collapsed with some syncope. And then I had a doctor working in that hospital with me. And so, I'll go and tell him. And so he went to the chief doctor, one of these doctors wandering around, and said, "My doctor friend has come. Can you have a look at him?" He came and said, "What's the problem?" "I fainted, I believe, but I'm feeling okay now." Hold on. But you have been doing this very often?" "No, only this morning I fainted." "I'll come back to you." "Did you take your blood pressure?" "Yeah." "Wait on." And he disappeared. He came and saw me after 2 hours because he had to attend to some 2 gunshot wounds, 3 appendicitis, 4 stabbings, and 15 husband-wife beating wife. All kinds of emergency, far more than a man who fainted for 5 seconds in the morning. So, this is what happens in America. In England, they have National Health Service. Suppose you have got, let us say, knee joint arthritis. You've got an arthritis, knee joint, severe pain, can't move around, have to depend on some kind of a support and so on and so forth. And they will say, "Yes, I think the knee needs knee placement. So will you come in 2026 August?" So by the time this patient gets attention, quite often it's dead of old age. They wait and wait. Finally he's called in. So this is the tragedy with National Health Service. So in India, complaints are a different kind. And so I've been thinking about this, whether I can think of some real reasons. I really don't know. Because I would think that obviously there is something wrong in the selection of medical students. In the government medical colleges, I think they probably take them in, and if you know the minister or somebody, you get in. And so your marks don't matter perhaps. And in the private medical colleges, you find they charge you heaven and earth. And now recently the Tamil Nadu government is putting up great objections to NEET. You know the reason, I'm sure many of you know the reason. The reason is very simple. Thanks to NEET, they find that there is impartial selection. Some of the brightest children get into it. Yes, people from villages and all these people go, and they are bright children all over the place. And so they get into NEET, study hard. Of course, there are institutions to teach them to take the NEET examination. And so many village children get admitted. It is so satisfying to somebody like us. And the government, thanks to the corruption in the government, many ministers started their own medical college. And so they made money. And so these medical colleges, they are making tons of money. Because of NEET examination, they found that some of the best students went away to this place. And nobody, nowadays, every modern student thinks he will get into NEET and get into a medical college. The attendance into the private medical colleges has fallen completely. And this makes them very anxious. If I am wrong here, you can please tell me. And so it looks as if this is one of the reasons, maybe the caliber of students is not good. And so what happens is, suppose you want to get a seat. Suppose I want to get a seat for my grandson. And there are rates. And you want to go and meet a minister, or you want to go into a private medical college, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. I met one gentleman who is a big Mirage star in a place close to Madras. And he told me, என்ன உங்கள் பசங்களாம் என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, 4 பசங்க இருக்காங்க, 3 பசங்க மெடிக்கல் காலேஜ் சேர்ந்துட்டாங்க. பரவாயில்லையா, ரொம்ப பிரைட் ஃபெலோஸா? நல்லா படிப்பாங்க. பட் எங்கிட்ட 50 ஏக்கரா நிலம் இருக்குது. ஒவ்வொரு பையனுக்கு 10 ஏக்கரா விற்றுடுவேன். விற்றுட்டா வர்ற பணத்தை கொண்டு போய் யாருக்கிட்ட கொடுக்கணுமோ கொடுப்பேன். சீட் வந்துடும். Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I can't even imagine that this kind of thing goes on. When I joined medical college, I was absolutely nervous. Because for this reason that I belonged to the wrong group. And so to get into medical college appeared a bit of a struggle. So I discussed with my brother, who was quite a funny man, what to do to get to the medical college. I got marks all right. I got triple distinction, high marks and all that. But I knew I would be asked questions, stupid questions. Because my fellow students in Vivekananda College, I went and asked him, those who had been to interview, what's the diameter of the ping pong ball? And who is the mother of medicine? The whole idea was to avoid. People you want to avoid. And so I went prepared to joke with them. You may not believe this. I went prepared to joke with them because I won't get anyway. I might as well make them a little happy. And so I was only 4 feet 10 inches tall. And so when I went in, he said, there is an old man. What is your height? I said, 4 feet 10 inches, sir. And probably he wrote unfit or I don't know what. Then I said, sir, in case you think I am short and so will not make a good doctor, I may have to defend myself. He was amazed at the arrogance. He said, why are you taking this? Because Dr. Rangachari was short. What? Pardon? That was another fellow who has gone to sleep. So he suddenly got up. What did he say? Rangachari, Dr. Rangachari, the most famous surgeon of Madras state. He had his own private plane and he was short. He said, my dear fellow, Rangachari was 6 feet 1 inch tall. My dear sir, his statue is only 5 feet tall. I told him, because there's a statue of Rangachari outside General Hospital, you must have seen. So I said, sir, I travel by bus, the upper bus. And so he's on a level with me. I had to explain to him why I put. And so he said, oh, Rangachari was short, is it? And sir, also, short people have tremendous inferiority complex. And so they do very well in life. Tell me some short people who are short in. Sir, Nelson, Napoleon, Mahatma Gandhi. How tall was Mahatma Gandhi? 5 feet 4. So all these people, because they were short, they were looked down upon by people. So they decided in their own way, they will get fame. People will look up to them. So I don't think it should matter. Like this, I went on. He asked me, who is the mother of modern medicine? I said, Mrs. Hippocrates. Because I don't think there's any answer. The idea is to put me down. So I said, I think Mrs. Hippocrates. And they gave me a seat. Believe it or not. So anyway, there it is. So hardly any tutoring and then the drive-in specialization. I think Bhuvana will agree with me. There is the speciality of family practice. That actually is the most viable, vital, important specialization in whole medical curriculum. There is no doubt. I will tell you the reasons. The role of the family physician it is estimated that 90% of an individual's medical needs can be met by a family physician in the clinic. 90% of his problems, a family physician will solve for you. In the context, it may help to mention that by Mayo Clinic and other, in the research they found that when they see a specialist and go back home, 80% of the patients felt they were let down. He didn't ask me this question. He didn't ask me, enna saapra, enna saapta enna ardu, enna kekala. And I went with my son to see an endocrinologist in America. I sat there. This man came and somebody has written a letter, please see, this seems to have hypothyroid excess and so on. He said, what's your trouble? And he said something, I got some palpitations, something. And he said, any other trouble? You sweat a lot? No. All right, you please go and get these tests done. He didn't ask, put out your hand. He didn't see whether she has got exhaust hormones. He did not see whether he has got tachycardia. He didn't ask him about whether he's got excessive sweating. If he had come to me, I would have failed him as an examiner. And he is an endocrinologist, right? So this is it. This may be responsible for the fact that these specialists, there's a great reverence for specialists which is rightly deserved. And so the general practice in speciality is completely ignored and nobody wants to go there. General practitioners are looked down upon as some kind of a secondary speciality, and so they are degraded. And so most people, most young fellows, you must have found when you talk to medical students, most young people want to do some specialization, preferably super specialization, you see. And so this is unfortunate, because you will find that if the general practitioners are far and few between, there is going to be more pressure on them. And so naturally two things will suffer. One, the attention that he can give is going to be less, and the time that he is going to see you will also be lengthened. And so the patient's dissatisfaction in the medical profession is going to increase. Right? And so what he does is, he keeps referring, he becomes a post office. He keeps referring to the specialist. You are a neurologist, he is this, he is this, so on. All kinds of specialists they are there, and he refers them to them. And so this also makes the public suspect that there is some clandestine agreement. And so they I'm sure நம்மளை வேற போஸ்ட் ஆஃபீஸ் மாதிரி என்ன போய் அவரை பார்க்க சொல்லுவார், இவரை பார்க்க சொல்லுவார், அதுக்கு பதிலாக அவரையே நானே நேராக போய் பார்த்தேன். That's what they say. And so these are various things I'm thinking aloud with you. And so I would think that I have given you a fair idea as to what this medical dharma is about, and how it is very important in the context of all of us, all human beings, and particularly doctors, because they are dealing with the most precious possession of any human being, his life and limb. And so it's very important that we know about this. And if you want me to answer any questions, I will try to answer question. If I cannot, there is one very learned gentleman here, and he should be able to help me out. Thank you, please. Thanks a lot. My own personal interest. I mean, you're all learned, educated society people who know what this place is all about. And we are all sitting in the proximity of Sharada Amma Devi. So I told you from the reading of the covenant what medical ethics is all about. Will those who believe that modern doctors follow medical ethics, or you are satisfied with their approach to you, and you think your doctor is okay and I am very happy with him? All these people who believe strongly this, you raise your hands. I don't want you to raise your hand, and I have retired from practice, so I am not really bothered. So please, those of you, will you raise your hand? Those of you who think that the modern doctor, the ones you are meeting in your life, and you seek his assistance every time. They're pretty ethical. You raise your hand if you think, if you don't, none of you raise your hand, doesn't make any difference to me. But I will go back a little wiser. And so, yes. So those who believe that your doctors are very ethical, very good, I mean, I'm not questioning their competence, please. I'm sure most of the young doctors, specialists are wonderful. I think the Indian doctors are as good as any doctor elsewhere. And Coimbatore has got a wealth of doctors who are so good. Until I practiced, I never had to send my patients outside to Madras or Vellore, no place, no, nothing. They were there, right here in Coimbatore, and doing wonderful stuff. So it is not a reflection on their ability. In your own deep mind, do you think that we modern doctors are ethical or could do better? Suppose you think maybe you could all improve a bit. Please tell me if you think you could improve a bit, just keep quiet. If you think you're quite happy and they're okay.
Namaskaram. Since you are a good humorist, I'd like to tell one small humor here. It's connected to your profession. I know, say you are a general practitioner and there are specialists. May I know what is the difference between a general practitioner and a specialist? It's a humor kind of a thing. The difference between a general practitioner and a super specialist or a specialist.
Yes, I want to correct first your mistake. I am not a general practitioner.
Okay, you are a geriatrics.
No. I am actually what they call an internist.
Okay, internist. Okay.
Internist. So I see only medical patients.
Okay.
Whereas a general practitioner is a bag of gold.
Okay.
He will see anything. He will see, I can tell you what they see. They see so many.
It's just a humor. I am not asking definition. Just a humor, joke.
Humor wise. Humor. Actually, in case you talk, I think humor is something that is cultivated. I come from a family where to wit is to survive. Right? It is always the survival of the fittest. And we lived in Mylapore, which is notorious for producing humorists. Kathadi Narasimhan, what's his name? And Cho Ramasamy was my classmate. And so there's a bit of humor, more humor in Mylapore area. Maybe because of that. And I believe strongly humor is cultivated, it's learned.
Okay.
It is not something you are born with humor. And humorists are not born.
இல்லை நீங்கள் டாக்டர் ப்ரொஃபஷனில் இருக்கிறதுனால இது சின்ன ஜோக்கு. இது நான் மெடிக்கல் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவாக ஒரு 45 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்கும்போது நான் கேள்விப்பட்டது. A general practitioner is a person who knows less and less about more and more. And a specialist is a person who knows more and more about less and less. Thank you.
Quite right.
Doctor, do you think that insurance scheme like abroad, so if healthcare is taken care of by the government, do you think that will bring out a solution to this? Because now doctors are trying to almost swindle all the money of the patients. Do you think the insurance government takeover with the insurance package, do you think that will be a solution?
It will be a solution provided they act like some of the better departments of the government. And I personally think if Modi was the Prime Minister, I think it will be good. This is my personal feeling. Because we had for a change, finally, one honest, good. So if it is done by the government, it takes on the insurance, if it is kind to people and makes it all really, based on sympathy and all that, and taking care of the poorer people, segments of the society, I think it will be wonderful. Please.
Are there any other doctors here? Okay. So, we both are here. You should hear from doctor's point of view. I go with the statement that the people deserve what they deserve. Number one. In fact, when you say a doctor, a teacher, a judge, by the statement of that name, you are a dharmic person. Now we are in a society, don't alienate doctors, we are in a society where we say a good doctor, a good judge, a good teacher, a good person. Now we doctors say good patient. So please understand, I don't think doctors need to get alienated. You touch your heart and say in every profession, let it be a chartered accountant, let it be a lawyer, housewife, how dharmic you are. There is a deterioration in the community. Don't alienate a profession. The deterioration is very rampant. It's exactly like what we see on the roads. The same people who drive on the roads, who wants to go under you, left, right, above you, all that is exactly happening in life now. And let me tell, there are many, many good doctors who really serve. And I will take pride in saying, I have seen many such ones. And in touching my heart, I have done my best. We have never done anything unethical. And we believe in dharma. So I always say that when you say show one finger on somebody, please understand 3 fingers are on you. I don't think anybody has any right to talk anything bad about any other person or any other profession. We have lost that. I will never comment about anybody bad, because the definition of good and bad are relative, if I am correct. God bless us.
I agree with you that there are certainly most doctors are good, according to me. But then a few bad apples give a bad name, So like that. So I certainly agree with you there that
Hardly 45 minutes.